everybody. I am just in from an Italian vacation, had a great time, a lot of great food, but as is always the case, I got sick on the flight home, and this Venetian flu is nasty. So it's a low energy kind of day, but I always want to put out some content if I'm able. So today I'm doing a little experiment that I had planned on doing off camera before bringing it to you, but ain't nobody got time for that, so we're doing it live.
Do it live!
I'm making what I hope to be the easiest and quickest pastrami you can make at home. So let's get started. For some time now, I've been curious on whether I could make a good quality pastrami at home using store-bought corned beefs. Because the only difference between corned beef and pastrami is that the pastrami is rubbed with spices and smoked. In both cases, you start with a simply cured beef brisket. So my theory is that I can begin with these store-bought corned beefs, hit them with my own spice rub, and smoke them, and that should make for a pretty good pastrami. And it'll also save up to 10 days of cure time that I would need to make these from scratch. So that's what I'm gonna try today. I'm gonna get started by getting these out of their bags and rinsing them off. Ugh. So I've rinsed all the red mucus off of these guys. Now I'm just gonna pat them down, get a lot of the moisture off of these with some paper towels or a kitchen towel. I'll just set these aside for right now while we get the spice rubbed together. Your corned beef is probably gonna come with a little spice packet, something like this. What the heck is this anyway? Pickling spice? Of course, we're not going to be using this little pinch of seasoning today. I'm going to make my own spice rub for the pastrami, something that's a little more traditional. So let's take a look at the ingredients for the rub. We're going to start with some black pepper, some coriander, and some paprika. And these are sort of the base flavors that you find in a lot of different pastrami rubs. If these are the only spices you want to use, I recommend using 2 parts black pepper to 1 part each of the coriander and paprika, and that makes a pretty good pastrami. But after these ingredients is where you can get into your own creativity, create your own signature flavor, and that is the beauty of making your own. So today, in addition to the black pepper and coriander and paprika, I'm going to add some white pepper. And to keep things simple, I'm going to be using equal amounts of all the spices today. I've got some whole mustard seed here and a little bit of brown sugar. That's just going to sweeten things up a little bit, but it's really going to help that rub stick to the brisket. There's some other spices you might want to consider in your rub. Might be a little bit of fennel or a little bit of caraway. Definitely some kind of cayenne or hot red pepper flakes is going to be fantastic. In fact, I think I'll add a little bit of red pepper flake into this as well. Garlic powder, onion powder, pinch of clove, all this stuff is fine to use. You're just going to have to determine how much you want to put in there because some of those are pretty strong flavors. And now that I've got my ingredients set, it's time to bust them up. I really want a coarse grind on my peppercorns, so I'm just going to bash these with my favorite kitchen tool. I toasted the coriander seeds and I'll grind those in a coffee grinder. I'm gonna leave the mustard seeds whole for that little pop that I love so much. I'm just gonna blend them all together and that will be my rub. No need to worry about salt or curing salt, it's all in the mix already, so all I have to concentrate on is flavor. I'm gonna go ahead and tie these up today. This is optional. Just gonna help cook a little more evenly. But with this recipe, I don't actually think that's very important. But it'll also give it a nice looking shape. So just gonna simply use a little butcher twine and tie every 1.5 inches or so. Just a very simple loop on there. So, we're just going to give these a thorough coating in spice rub. Don't forget those ends. Alright, really push that stuff in there too. Get those peppercorns stuck on there. Now that's starting to look real good. You could take these to the smoker right now, but you're going to get a better result if you let these air dry overnight in the refrigerator. So you want to put them on a rack so you can get air all around them. So we'll just pop these into the refrigerator overnight. That's going to help that crust really set up on there and also should help them absorb a little more smoke.
The next morning.
Bright and early on another sausage Sunday. These have been in the refrigerator overnight, and I was hoping they would dry out a little on the surface. They are still fairly damp, and I imagine that that's because these were probably injected with some brine, so that is not gonna dry out all the way. But that's okay. This is an experiment, and I think it'll be fine. Looks like our crust is on there pretty good. I might touch it up just a little bit. So now I'm gonna leave these out to start coming up to temperature. Just out here, room temperature for an hour or so. And in the meantime, I will go get the smoker heated up. I've got these out here into the smoker. This is gonna be a 2-stage process today. It's gonna be smoking out here and then cooking, and I'm not gonna cook them in the smoker because I don't want them to dry out. It would take a very long time to tenderize these, and it's just too long for the result that I'm looking for. So I'm gonna smoke them out here, low temperature. We're keeping this thing right around 130 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'll give these 4 to 6 hours. However much smoke you want to put on yours is up to you. And I am going to be running some pecan wood today, but that is also up to you.
6 hours later.
There we go. That is 6 hours of smoke time on these. They are feeling pretty crusty. Got a good color to them. So now we're going to move from smoking to cooking these guys. And there are a couple of ways you could do this. If you want those juicy deli-style hot cuts, you can steam these for a couple of hours and get them nice and tender. But I am going to want to make these into cold cuts. So I'm going to let them cool down a little bit. I'm going to vacuum pack them, and then I'm going to drop them into a Sous Vide circulator. And then got my water bath set, 140 degrees Fahrenheit. Just gonna get these down in there. And I'm gonna leave these for at least 12 hours, but when 12 hours rolls around, I'm likely to be asleep. So it's probably gonna be more like 15 to 18 hours, which shouldn't make a lot of difference in the water bath. If you go very long, you do start to lose some moisture, but these things are pretty wet, so I don't think a little moisture loss is gonna hurt a thing. I am a little bit curious on how this sort of longer cylindrical one is gonna come out, because on this package, it says that this has been treated with papain, tenderized with papain, and that is an enzyme from papaya that tenderizes meat. So this one probably would not take as long, and hopefully it doesn't get too squishy over that long amount of time. The other one in there does not have a tenderizer added, so I'm sure that one's going to be fine. So I guess we'll just add that to the experiment and see how the tenderized one fares against the non-tenderized one. Now we'll get this covered. I will just let these guys go, and hopefully by the time I pull these out of here, my sense of smell and taste will have recovered somewhat so I can do a proper taste test.
Eventually.
That is 15 hours on these. So I'm just going to call it there. It should be okay, but we will find out when we cut into these. So now using this technique, I don't need to ice bath these. They're not going to cook any more than they are right now, so I'm just going to get them cooled off all the way, and then we'll get into them and see how we did. Well, let's take a look at what we've got here. A little bit of string. It's very interesting. Now the color shows me that this corned beef was fully cured. It's nice and red all the way through, so that means it was safe to cook down at low temperature. But something that I didn't expect are these little air pockets that I'm seeing all over in this. Almost as if this was some kind of reconstructed piece of meat. That's very interesting. Of course, what really matters is the taste. Check out that bite. Well, my sense of taste isn't fully recovered, but I can pick out the main notes. It's pretty salty, as a lot of cold cuts are going to be. I don't think it's offensively salty. The texture, you can see, comes apart nice and easy. But it is not what I expected. This is very much like a mass-produced cold cut. And in that regard, it's very good. Very nice. And this thing has clearly been pumped up with so much brine that I could have cooked that hotter and faster or for a really long time, and I think it would still be very moist. Interesting stuff, but I do like it, and that is going to make great sandwiches. Gotta get some mustard on there. But let's take a look at the other one as well. Bring that in here. That feels a lot different. This one feels spongy. Probably from all those air bubbles. This one feels much more dense, but let's take a look inside. Oh, I am noticing quite a difference already. Okay. Now, This one does not have all these little air pockets. This does look much more like a solid chunk of brisket. Let's give that a try. This one has a much nicer texture. Oh yeah. That's real meat. I got a feeling there's some meat glue involved in this one. Yeah. That one's got a hot dogginess to it, if you know what I'm saying. Whereas this one is like the real deal. This is great. So if you can only find one that's been tenderized with that papaya enzyme, it works. It's good. It's gonna make great sandwiches. But if you find one that hasn't been treated with that, it's gonna be a whole lot better. Yeah, I'm liking this a lot. And I'm thinking, if I were to steam this one, even now, it would be kind of spongy and weird. But this would be like a beautiful, hot, steamy deli pastrami. Oh yeah, you know we gotta do this, right? Check out that bite. After every St. Patrick's Day, I always cruise the grocery stores and pick up a bunch of these corned beefs after they're all marked down. And this is a spectacular way to use some of them. You might be thinking this 3-day process doesn't seem very simple, but it eliminates the need for me to cure the meat, which would add at least another 7 days to the process. And while this isn't as good as starting from scratch and curing your own, it is certainly a passable pastrami. So if for some reason you need a homemade pastrami in a weekend, or maybe you're someone that just wants to dip the toe into curing your own meats, but you're not fully committed, give this one a try, and I know you're gonna love it. Thanks for watching. Oh yeah.